This presentation is quite brief and only addresses 4 of the primary concerns relative to the City of Hot Springs pumping water from Lake DeGray for their water customers. These concerns do not include the more technical issues, which are available in a longer version of this presentation for those who would like more specific details on the project. The 4 concerns presented here are limited to a brief overview of location, cost, reliability, and need. First, we'll identify the project location, which surprisingly is not even in Garland County. This slide shows the proposed locations for a new raw water intake, 6 possible pipeline routes, 3 pumping stations, and a new water treatment plant. The new treatment plant site now proposed means that all of these facilities will be located in Hot Spring County. The first question most people ask when they see this plan is, why would anyone want to pump water from a lake on the far side of an adjoining county when we have 3 lakes right here in Garland County? That's a very good question, and the public deserves an answer. You have likely heard city representatives say that Lake DeGray is closer than Lake Washita. When we ask, closer to what, we discover that they apparently do not mean to Hot Springs, but rather the distance from Lake DeGray to a new treatment plant, which would be located in the same county as Lake DeGray. The longer version of this presentation lists some possible reasons why the proposed new facilities are not located in Garland County. You have also probably heard the city manager say that the reason for the plant location on Jack Mountain is because it is in the Hot Springs, quote, growth corridor, unquote. When a Freedom of Information request was made for documentation showing that the area southeast of Hot Springs is the growth corridor, the reply was that no documentation exists. It was just a term the city manager came up with. Now let us look briefly at the project capital costs and then the long-term operating costs. When we asked the city for capital costs of the project, we received nothing. So we used the costs shown here, which were for a similar project developed by the city's original consulting firm. After being criticized by the city manager for using incorrect capital costs, we asked again for whatever estimates the city had. We were given cost estimates that were now considerably less. These are the city's most recent cost estimates, but note that they too are incomplete. The actual costs are likely to be somewhere between their initial consultants' estimates and their current estimates, with a possible range of between $100 and $225 million for just the first 5 items shown. To illustrate why these costs are likely to be higher, installing over 18 miles of 42-inch pipe through rocky terrain may well be much more costly than anybody currently estimates. It should also be noted that the city has not yet estimated the time required or the costs to acquire the 80-foot wide pipeline right-of-way. Irrespective of what the total capital costs are for the project, these are only the beginning. The major long-term cost will be the operating costs. Operating costs continue forever and include costs for the electricity to pump 20 million gallons per day, weighing 166 million pounds, over 18 miles. Please note also that Lake DeGray is 170 feet lower than Lake Washita and the city of Hot Springs, so this elevation difference must be overcome, not to mention crossing several hills with elevations of up to 750 feet. In addition to the electricity for pumping is the electricity for the new treatment plant. And there are also new employee costs with benefits, security, and maintenance costs, and the list goes on. The city has provided us with no estimates of operating costs, but we estimate that over $10,000 per day or over $3.6 million per year will likely be necessary and will escalate annually. Now let's talk about reliability. Reliability of the water supply is imperative. Doesn't it make sense to choose a source that is large enough to not pose problems during droughts when water usage is at the highest? Doesn't that also mean choosing the largest lake with the greatest potential to maintain water supply with tributaries that have the largest flow rates and the largest watershed area? Lake Ouachita is over double the size of Lake DeGray. The Ouachita River, which feeds Lake Ouachita, provides twice the flow rate and replenishment rate when compared to the Caddo River, which feeds Lake DeGray. The watershed area of Lake Ouachita is 1,105 square miles, while Lake DeGray's watershed is only 454 square miles. It seems obvious which is the more reliable water source. Finally, let us briefly review need. The Arkansas Department of Health and others have repeatedly told the city that there is no rush to acquire or plan new water sources, yet the city continues to treat water supply as though it were an emergency. The city has recently refused to serve several proposed new developments to the west of town, including a new Walmart supercenter on Airport Road. This curtails growth of areas outside the city limits. Garland County elected officials have now unanimously passed a resolution opposing taking water from Lake DeGray and asked the city to consider allowing the county to assist in forming a regional water supply district. State agencies have consistently recommended that the city of Hot Springs pursue smaller, less costly improvements that would increase its water supply. Numerous methods for reducing source water requirements have also been suggested, including reducing the city's approximately 40% water losses, developing a conservation program, and others. However, some city officials continue to insist that the city must have water now and seem to be unwilling to even consider more immediate and less costly methods for meeting possible future water shortages. The city's website states that 27.5 million gallons per day is available, but the public was not told that up to 30 million gallons per day of water can be taken at the current treatment plant location. Customers also appear to have been purposefully left out of all discussions for water-related choices. Not a single public hearing or town hall meeting has been held in spite of numerous requests that the city involve the public and water customers prior to making final decisions that will be extremely costly to them. Little or no water demand increases have occurred during the most recent 7 to 8 years, as shown in the blue oval, yet the city projects huge future demand increases. During this same period, U.S. Census data shows that the growth within the city has actually decreased. This has been a brief overview of the issues that should concern you and all Hot Springs water users. In conclusion, ask yourself, do you think the city has chosen the best location? Do you think the cost should be developed more accurately before money is spent? Do you think the city has chosen the most reliable water source? Do you think there is an immediate need to commit to spending huge amounts of money? If you want more details and how these items can double or triple your water bill, see the longer version at the site shown above. Or you may wish to get involved by downloading our petition at this website. The petition will require the city to allow a vote of the people before committing $100 million or more to any capital project. Thanks for your concern and for your help.